a little bit later on, we're expecting to hear François Fillon address the crowd here. Now, just a while ago, we got the first partial results, and over 69% for François Fillon, some 2,000 voting centres having been counted at this stage. There was an absolute eruption of cheers here, a real sense of elation. So people are very, very excited. Now, not long after that, there's a garden just adjacent to this reception room, and a whole lot of people started pouring in against, in fact, security rules, so they had to be put back out. But you can really sense almost a frenzy here, people trying to get into this room where they expect François Fillon will speak a little bit later on. There are doors just to my right here as well that are being kept shut, but there's a huge crowd of people outside of those doors, and the room itself here is filling up increasingly with media and with supporters. So there's quite an electric atmosphere here, Thomas, and I think for most of the people here, they're convinced that it's done and dusted, and that François Fillon is indeed going to be the party candidate for the presidential election.
But James, of course, Fillon has had a rocky week of criticism over some of his more far-right or hard-right proposals, but that doesn't seem to have affected his standings in the polls, does it?
No, I think he dealt with those political attacks, I guess you could call them, pretty well. His rhetoric has always been quite simple and very much focused on the message. And for example, when Alain Juppé criticised his economic platform of being too brutal, overly ambitious, not realistic, François Fillon, every time that came up, whether it be at rallies or whatnot, said, look, I'm simply being ambitious for France. I can provide details on where I think this is a program that can be implemented, and it's urgent. France is over-indebted, and if we don't make these changes now, it's our children and our children's children that will pay the price. So he's had a very clear message the whole way through, and he has also, for example, said the brutality, if they're accusing my campaign of being brutal, the real brutality is over 6 million people unemployed. So it seems to have resonated with a large proportion of conservative voters. He really has struck a chord with them, and I think he's been very strong in between the two rounds of voting in this last week of the primary campaign. And well, it seems up to this point that he has managed to maintain that quite significant lead that he forged going into the first round of voting, where there was this big surge, and he came first ahead of Alain Juppé by a considerable margin, 16 points. And of course, Nicolas Sarkozy was eliminated. So that was a huge surprise for everybody. The pollsters had not predicted it. The media had not really predicted it. And but François Fillon the whole way through said, you know, I've been going around the country meeting people for the last number of years, and my program, my manifesto, has been forged along with the French people. It takes into account their concerns and how best to sort of hoist France back up to the top level, whether it be economically or in other ways. So in any case, it's clearly been a very successful campaign up to this point.